Alrighty, we are live from Columbus, OH, and this is the Ramsey Show After Show. I'm Coach Steve Money, Ramsey Solutions Certified Financial Coach. Just waiting for YouTube to come on, YouTube. OH. There we go, and I can hear myself, so that means you can hear me too. What up, Sid? That was a good zinger there. Every hotel or motel is roadside. Yes, dude. People like that they just don't want they just want to they're just justification stationing. Oh my goodness. Test. Okay, we don't want it to peak going into the red there. It's dangerous to have a mic or a race car in the red. The race car thing is from Pulp Fiction. Highly recommend. Okay. Still peeking out when I get loud, and I sometimes get loud. So let's simmer down a little bit. There we go. All right, now it's just in the yellow. Okay. All right. Where was I? Oh, yeah, I said who I was. And what else do I need to say about life and stuff? You're watching this on youtube.com/coachstevemoney, and for my financial content, you just scroll past the Oak Island playlist, and you'll see the Ramsey Show After Show, and today is number 547 of those, so it's been a couple of those. And answering your financial questions playlist has 138 in there, and the music playlist has 12 Ramsey adjacent songs in there, such as Rachel Cruz song. And I guess that's why we all watch Rachel Cruz, for good advice that she learned in her youth. Talks about friends when she shows us how to be millionaires. Know yourself, know your money, love your life, not theirs. And I guess that's why we all watch Rachel Cruz. And so the full length song is, of course, it used to be just that little bit of it, just a little verse and chorus. And then I did change it into an entire song. And so that is in that music playlist. And as you heard, as you could tell, probably singing not my regular job. I was a little pitchy dog. But listen to those if you are so inclined. What do we want? We want US. That's what we want. Market report. What up, Dirt? Thank you for dropping by. Much appreciated. Down day in the market today, and nothing crazy. Everything down less than 0.78%. Excuse me. And so that is bound to happen every so often, but nothing to freak out about and overreact to, for sure. What do we have? Oh, we had Walmart today. Forgot about the Walmart today. Whoops, wrong one. And they are down 3%, so probably bad. Let's see. Boop, 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 boop. Earnings, why it's one of the best. Stock drops as it signals price hikes due to magnitude of Trump tariffs. Okay. All right. So they pro strong earnings, but they want to bring higher prices, and so they have probably less of a good. They don't have a good outlook for their guidance, as it's called, for the next quarter is probably not as good due to the what they think will be the higher prices, and therefore people opting out of buying those higher prices. And so that's kind of understandable on that. What else do we have? It is applied material. Oh, applied materials today as well. Oh, that's not until 4 p.m. So We'll have to wait and see what that is. And is anything up? 0.29% Microsoft is up in the, that's the only one that's up in the most followed single stocks on the Google. Let's take a look at the head. Oh, I forgot to check the rest of the world. How nationalist of me to not check the rest of the world. Mostly up in Europe, mostly down in Asia. The US dollar down to the euro, down to the yen, down to the British pound, love, up against the Canadian dollar, eh? Canadian dollar hasn't been doing well lately. Sorry about that. And up against the Australian dollar. So not bad, not bad. Not bad at all. So now let's check the Walmart ones that will raise prices because of tariff. Okay, we already read that. And that is what's going to happen. So it just depends on tariff negotiations as far as if that will change. But they're the ones that get to decide if they're going to pass the extra tariffs, extra tax onto the customers, which generally you do. You would pass on any new costs for a business. You would pass that on to the customer unless you as a company decide you're going to just eat that and make less money. And some people have done that with certain things, including taxes and other things. Some companies have said, yeah, we're not going to raise prices because of that. We'll just eat it and make less money and keep the freaking store full. How about we do that? Some people have decided to do that. Wall Street Journal. Bags of cash from drug cartels flood teller windows at U.S. banks. Fun times. Interesting. And the banks are regulated for X amount, and I'm sure the drug cartels know the amount. I think it's $10,000 where you have to write a special report, special notation for that deposit. And you can also, if it's close, if it's just under that and you think it's sus, you can also do one of those forms as well. That's what I learned in my banking days. So I would imagine they're keeping an eye on it, especially since it's making it made the Wall Street Journal as a news story. So somebody knows about it. Coinbase says hackers bribe staff to steal customer data and are demanding $20 million ransom. Okay. Alrighty then. Fun times. Well, I hope you don't have all your dumbass crypto in Coinbase then. My goodness gracious me. Isn't that great? Isn't that great when that happens? I mean, that's not why Mr. Ramsey doesn't advise crypto, but that's a darn good reason. CarPlay Ultra, the next generation of CarPlay, begins rolling out today. I don't even know what that is. Is that some kind of thing where you integrate it with your phone or something like that? I don't have that stuff. I have a 2005 Suzuki Verona. I do not have that in my car. Let's see. Wall Street Journal again. United Health Group under criminal investigation for possible medical fraud. Yeah, they've been having some issues lately. And so that's just one more. Starbucks workers are walking out over new dress code. How many are protesting and why? All right. I mean, people can walk out whenever they want to. Starbucks can also fire them immediately if they are in a right to work state. And they can just hire new people that don't have a problem with the dress code. You don't get to have life the way you want it to. When you don't own the business, you don't get to control everything about that business. Oh, kids today are nuts. Social Security benefit payments fall later in May. Dick's Sporting Goods to acquire Foot Locker for $2.4 billion in effort to corner Nike market. Alrighty. That's interesting. And I was going to say, I would think Foot Locker would be the bigger company here, but I guess not. Dick's Sporting Goods has been around quite a while. Down 14.87% today, though. That's interesting. Alrighty. I think we're done with the market report. What up, Milas? I've been neglecting the chat's been going crazy. Oh my goodness gracious me. So there's a meal plan for the week. Next week, gonna send it to Hub so he can put together a grocery list. You don't make out the grocery list for him? You're making the man do it himself? My goodness, Sid. Walmart and all Sid has an Aldi and a Walmart across the street from each other. Build our list on the Walmart app, then shop at Aldi first for better prices. Nice. Sid finished work by 8 a.m. again today. I have 8 hours to fill. You'll figure out something to do. Sometimes it's good to just sit there and have evil thoughts. As long as they stay thoughts, it's fine. It's fine. Mila says the first call made my head hurt. Heart hurt or head, maybe both. Yeah, and that was financial abuse. It was a very controlling husband. And of course, husband is not controlling, and it hasn't been going on for years and years and years and years, unless the wife allowed it to happen. And so the very first thing, the mistake is the very first slight indication of being controlling or anything like that is where the other spouse lets it go and doesn't say, that's a no for me, dog. So you do have to stick up for yourself there. Yeah, we had a wife getting allowance question on the Reddit the other day. Pew pew pew. Call made me angry. Yeah, that really sucks because obviously the wife didn't say no immediately or ever. Still hasn't said no to that, as still hasn't said, well, that's just not acceptable, and we have to do something to fix that. Just called instead, probably. Since abuse tends to ramp up with different stages in a relationship when they start to think they have their victim locked in, right? I.e., moving in, right? You don't do any of that stuff, right? Right, and that does happen for in other situations and financial abuse as well. In anything where one person will not show their true colors shining through. They won't do that until it's been, until they've moved in or until they've been engaged or married or pregnant. Right. Enabling that behavior is insanity. Right. That's crazy. I wouldn't go as far as say you got smacked with an ad. I mean, it definitely played, Dirt Show. And if you're not familiar with the YouTube, that's how it works. YouTube has ads. I don't know if you knew that, Dirt Show. Newsflash for Dirt Show. I'm not victim blaming Sid. I'm saying that definitely happened though. She definitely did not put a stop to it. Boop, boop, boop. So there's Cairo and then OB. Then gonna upgrade the phone, right? She has a credit, I believe she said, from Boost. And so better phone for baby pics. Well, of course. You want to do that. Crumbler confirms that YouTube has ads, so it's not just me being crazy about it. Yep. She didn't put a stop to it likely because she didn't believe she could. Right. Which was not correct, of course. You can always leave, but, you know, at that point you say, well, I don't want to make a big deal about this because blah, 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 you know. Yeah. All right. Yep, they forget they can speak up, or they're scared to. Sure. Scared to. Anything. Right. They don't always think they can leave, but they can. They can. It might not be that fun, but it's probably preferable to staying in that relationship. But of course, at those times, you are not thinking with a clear head, usually, and especially if you think you have no other options. Alrighty, so done with the market report. Fed's Powell cautions about higher long-term rates as supply shocks provide policy challenges. Hey, got a great idea. We're worried about this stuff and worried about this stuff and we're worried about this stuff and we're worried about this stuff. Why not be proactive and lower the rate a quarter freaking percent? And then if it ends up being a mistake, you can raise it back up later. I mean, I don't understand. They want to keep it below 2% is what I am led to believe, the inflation rate. They want to keep it to that per year, 2% per year. And so if it's more than that, they can lower the rate, and they haven't done that in a very long time. They're just cautioning about stuff instead. And your job is not to give advice. Your job is to control the market. Control the inflation rate. Let's see. It said Thursday that longer-term interest rates are likely to be higher as the economy changes and policy is in flux. Well, the longer-term interest rates, who controls that? Oh, yeah, that's right. That's you. Dumb. We may be entering a period of more frequent and potentially more persistent supply shocks. Difficult challenge for the economy and for central banks. Yeah, but again, who controls the rate? That's right. That's right. That's you. Dumbass. The supply shocks remarks are similar to those Powell has delivered over the past several weeks. Right, it's the same stuff. Oh, we got problems. Oh, we got problems. Oh, the tariffs might be problems. We got this, we got that as a problem, but I'm not going to do anything about it. Dumb as crap. All right, and from NBC News, cyber crime spree that hobbled British retailers now aimed at U.S. Google says, and you can believe Google. Google knows everything. At least 3 top British retailers have experienced cyber attacks in recent weeks. Okay, so it's 3 of them. So when it says hobbled British retailers, they don't say it was only 3 of them in the headline, of course. Marks and Spencer, fun. I think that's any relation to Spencer Gifts? Probably not. Probably a higher class store than that. Let's see. Hackers behind a series of destructive financial motivated cyber attacks against some of the UK's largest retailers are now going after big American brands. Google said Wednesday. Major American retailers have already been targeted. Okay. Google's threat intelligence group. At least 3 top British retailers have experienced cyber attacks in recent weeks. Marks and Spencer had to pause online orders for weeks. Hackers who contacted the BBC provided evidence of huge amounts of customer and employee data stolen from the Co-op group. A third, Harrods, I've heard of them. That's a very fancy store, I believe. Restricted some internet access at store locations, though a spokesperson told NBC News that it has not seen evidence that customer data was stolen. All right, well, and what is it going to do? National Retail Federation, which represents thousands of companies, including the Mart and the Target, acknowledged the threat. Okay, so they know about it, and so that's the best you can do. To try to know about it in advance is a good way to try to avoid it. And from Bloomberg, Trump asked Apple to stop moving iPhone production to India. Yeah, maybe you could make iPhones in the United States, and it'll cost more. Yeah, yeah. So maybe you can make less money. Stop doing that. Or you can have it be in India and just keep doing what you're doing. If you'd like, you can do that. Oh, add domestic production as it pivots away from China, right? Because there's a pivoting away from China. And they were planning to do that already, supposedly, even before the tariffs. But the tariffs, they have a 90-day pause on or 90-day reduction on the tariffs both ways, and they're working on a longer deal, supposedly. This one, I saw a short yesterday, and I do remember when this happened. But I just thought I would mention it because a lot of people are like, and they always have to call when Dave is going to retire, or I'm calling it. Dave is mostly retired now. They think they got the, again, a rush to label things, and you don't have to put it in a box. He can just work whenever he wants to. That's how the owner can do that in any company. And so you don't have to label it about he's retiring this year, or he's pretty much retired now. And I would say no, that's not. But this was I believe 2023 interview. It was at Ramsey Solutions, as you can see by the background there. But I believe it was Graham Stephen interviewing him, and he asked him about the sustainability, I believe, of the company. And he said that they made a definitive effort to get to make the non-Dave revenue of the company 50% of it. And in that year, they were at about 78% of the revenue coming in being non-Dave revenue. That means anything the other personalities do, any other thing that the other coaches and any money that all the rest of the employees bring in that Dave isn't personally responsible for. And said it was 78% there. So they'll be fine. So don't worry. And of course, it's not people that like always bring that up are not people that are worried for Ramsey Solutions. Anyway, all right, let's answer some questions. We don't know how much Dave works off screen, regardless of how often he's on the show. That's correct. And he may be working from home as well. Even if he's out boating and stuff, he could be thinking of ideas for the show, etc., etc. So, yeah, we don't know. We don't know. But people always they always want to put somebody in a box and say, well, this is what's going to happen here in this case. And unless I say, oh, he's pretty much retired at this point, unless I say that, I'll go crazy in my head by just not saying anything. And so that's pretty nutty. People are generally nutty, in case you did not notice. This looks pretty long, but there's no ellipses, so probably right there. Lenny Lulu. Is that one of the characters from The Grinch? Don't think so. A checklist for financial tasks after marriage. Well, financial tasks before marriage, I think I said this yesterday, would be have many conversations with fiance about money. You don't wait to have in those discussions till after there's some kind of problem. or after marriage. You don't wait to do that. You address that ahead of time. Reposting, since I reread my first post and don't think it correctly conveyed what I'm looking for. I am looking for a specific checklist that my finance and I can go through. Oh, line by line. Oh, he wants a checklist. Okay. After our fall wedding, on tasks we need to do and check off after we get married. For example, combined bank account. Yep. I don't know that. I mean, there probably is a checklist somewhere. Whether it's a Ramsey based one, I don't know. But, I mean, you could look at the extended list of baby steps, but it includes baby step 0 and so forth. And so that would be to get insurances as part of baby step 0, get insurances in place. And, of course, the 4 walls. Clothing, housing, transportation, and food. My pal Sid likes to add in their internet in there, and I don't have a problem with that. Add beneficiary to 401k. Yep, you do want to do that immediately. Adjust car insurance to account for second policy. Yeah. And if you have the more cars you have on one policy, generally there's a discount as well on that. Things like that. We have discussed finances at length. Great during this pre-marriage time. I am more so looking for a to-do list for tasks we need to do immediately following the wedding so we don't forget anything. I checked the Ramsey Solutions website and couldn't find a comprehensive list. Yeah, I don't know that there will be a list somewhere that tells you absolutely everything that you need to do. But if you take a look at baby step 0, Google it. And the other baby steps, that will suggest things for you. And you already know, where is it? Budget? Does it say budget here? Budgeting would be one, and I got a great idea too for this person. Could listen to shows even in the background, that kind of thing, and when either of them hear something that they will need to do and they could add to the checklist, you can make your own checklist. How about that? Coco Bum 8768. Additional debt for roof, and debt is going to be, again, speaking of baby step 0, that's when you decide to pay off your dumbass debt and you decide you're not going to take on any more dumbass debt. So debt needs to be the absolute last option. So I'm relatively new to David Ramsey. All right. So formal. And the baby steps, but I'm trying to jump in full swing. Well, immediately needing a debt for a roof is not a good way to do that. Accomplishing baby step 1 wasn't too hard. Too hard is TOO, hard. Once we started budgeting our money and we moved straight to baby step 2. Great. We're making good progress, but have hit a snag that I need help on. Our roof has started to leak and is on the older side for a repair. All right, you know what I'm going to do? If you had one roofer look at it and say that, oh, it's on the older side for repair, you need to replace the whole thing. I would have a second one look at it, and they, of course, may say the same thing. But if it can just be repaired, do that until you're in a higher baby step. Give you time to save up money for that. So it has to be replaced. So just because it's on the older side for a repair, so it automatically has to be replaced. And when it comes to money and spending it and people saying we needed it or we had to, that's bullcrap. You're choosing to, in most cases. Now, maybe a repair would do no good and we just have more problems and more problems and more problems. But if it has one leak in one spot, that can probably be fixed, and that can probably hold you a couple years. Because replacing it is not going to be any more expensive other than the inflation caused by Jerome Powell, chairman of the Fed, as discussed earlier. We can clear out some of our Roth IRA money. That's a no. We do not tap retirement for that. That's a NAR. Outright or borrow to pay. Yeah, neither of these. You delay it if you can. So again, if it has one leak in one spot, you fix it. Fix the one leak instead. I'm sure the roofer would love to replace your entire roof. Every single roofer would. You know why? Because they make more money doing that. So you got to be careful with those guys. I'd have maybe even 3 or 4 total roofers come and give you a quote on that and see if it can be fixed. Especially if you know somebody in that personally, if you know them personally in that line of work, because maybe they would shoot you straight on that. I'm torn. Nothing's fine. I'm torn on what the right action is here. I hate the thought of pulling out our Roths. Well, then don't do it. Would be penalty fee. Yeah. But I also don't like the idea of adding debt. Right. So don't do that either. You look for option 3 instead of just saying, well, we can do this dumbass thing or this dumbass thing. How about you add a third option to it that is not dumb? That would be my advice here. Unfortunately, getting a repair and letting it ride isn't an option. Why not? Because one guy said. I mean, that may be the case. And if that's the case, you got to look for a way to pay it. And you got to save up for it. So, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you throw let me ask you this. So, if the roofer that looked at it, if he didn't already throw a tarp on top of where it's leaking or something like that, if he didn't address that, then it's not that much of a problem. So I'm going to look more into that and not just take people's words for it. Let's see what else. I hate the thought of pulling out our Roth contribution. Yeah, I just said that. Getting a repair and letting it ride is an option because we'll be dropped by our insurance in 4 months living in Florida. How do they know about your roof? Did you try to make a claim on it? Or something? How do they know about your roof? So I don't know exactly how that works. I would appreciate any advice or 2 cents on the best course of action to not do either, to do something other than either of the 2 things that you thought to do. And people usually do run to that. Oh, I'll take it for my retirement, or I'll or get a HELOC, or I'll just take out debt for it. And that would be a NAR from Mr. Ramsey on that. Find a different way to do that. Bum, bum, bum. Sorry, just looking at the chat, seeing what's going on. And Mila says, dating is such a turn off. That's my girl. I was like, nuh-uh. I'm only somebody's with a wedding band. If he liked it, he would have put a ring on it, Mila. Courting is still dating, but with a purpose and goal in mind. And there tends to be more guidelines and expectations, according to Trey. And I'm inclined to believe with him. Alrighty. No ESA, Sid. It's a 529 or UGMA better for you than a ESA. Drowse 89, baby step 4 through 6. And also, you probably know the answer better than anybody else here already. Pay off rental property versus main home first. That's a no. You shouldn't have the rental property while you still have a mortgage on your main home. You're doing it wrong. Two mortgage and investments. Yeah, that's a no. You do not have debt and also have more investments than your retirement count. So you're doing it wrong. Everything you're doing is bad. You're not on the baby steps. You're doing stuff your way. So it doesn't matter. You don't have to say what baby step because you're not on it, because you're not doing it. What's the order to attack them all with the extra bit of cash in my budget? There's only an extra bit of cash in your budget? Why? Because you are doing it wrong? If you weren't doing it wrong, you would have much more cash in your budget. I have two homes, yep, main and rental, currently investing 15%. Okay, so that part is right. Should I pause on this to tackle the mortgages? No, you should sell the rental and put every single cent that you get in equity off of the rental property. You use that to pay off your main home, because you never, ever, 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 ever should add two mortgages at the same time. Main home balance 133. Okay. All right, let's see. Did not realize. Seemed like it was ending. It wasn't. We have more information. Probably not necessary. The rental property only 57.9, so only 58,000. Like the exception to this would be, I would probably be fine with if they wanted to keep the rental, and they had 60,000 in savings that wasn't part emergency fund, and they could pay it off immediately. I would probably let that go. But just putting a little bit extra because you only have a little extra bit of cash, so that's a no from that. That's a no. I've reached baby step 6. No, you haven't. You have a second mortgage. That's baby step 2 debt, my friend. So you're doing it wrong. You have not. With roughly $18.50 spare money per month. Okay, I thought it was going to be much lower than that, but still, it could be more if you didn't have all these expenses of having two mortgages. The rental property has the higher interest and offsetting income coming from it. It's not offsetting no matter how much people try to say it. There's always other costs involved that make it not so much profitable. Once mortgage is paid, I aim to spend a little on renovation improvement, increase the rent on it. So more spending coming up there. So just get rid of it and pay off your main house, your residence. However, this leaves me paying minimum payments on main residence at 2.59%. I'll toss in. Note, for family reasons, we will not sell the rental property. Well, then do what you want to do then. And so I don't care I don't care which way you do the Ramsey advice incorrectly. I don't care about that. I don't care. So let's see. It has been purchased as a long-term plan to provide a free home in the future for my eldest son who has learning difficulties. All right. Well, my name is Paul, and that's between y'all, but you never should have had two mortgages doing the Ramsey stuff. And however, when you thought that that was okay to do that and that Dave would be fine with that, you were gravely mistaken. This is an ad. It says promoted there, and they got me once or twice with that. Boom, 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 boom. It has heard the 529 is a superior choice compared to ESA due to contribution limits. Yeah. So if you want to put more in it, yeah, you would go with the 529. Yeah, hard to tell. That is the thing. Hard to tell if you want to save for college when kiddo may not go. Yeah. kiddo does go to college, then the UDMA, UGMA has no UGMA has no tax benefits. Yeah. Yep, Sid. So that's when you think about maybe doing a brokerage account instead, and that way it can be used for anything. Here we go. Husband can't stick to a budget. No, really? That never happens. Alert set 9121. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the husband. It could be the wife, but that is a common call and a common post here on the subreddit. Help please. It's a locked post. Yay. I mean, there was some controversy happening. How many? 97 comments. Hello, please, help please, excuse me. My husband and I each have $500 a month for fun money. That's excessive. Unless you're on step 7. I would think that would be excessive. That's $125 a week, dog. He regularly goes over that. Well, see, the way it works is, sounds like a husband might need to go with an envelope and not just a debit card if he keeps going over that amount. So he needs to have a fun money envelope. And when he is done with that $500, then he's done for the month. So unfortunately, some adults need to be treated like little children because they can't say no to themselves. And that is called adulting. He regularly goes over that. Last month he spent $1,500, the month before $1,100. So did you say yo? Hey, my man. Remember that time we agreed to have $500 a month for fun money, which is still, in this reporter's opinion, for me, that's still too freaking much. Again, depending on what baby step you're on. But still, that does seem excessive. And, okay, I occasionally go over 2. Okay, well then, you both have a problem then. His problem may be worse because he's spending more money than you are, but you're not sticking to it either, so you can't say anything. But with him, as often, we've had many conversations. There's an S on that. Should be. About this. He does well when he tracks the spending, but that lasts a few months, and then we're back to this. And so you need to say, what up, bro? What up with that? My issue is that I make significantly more than him, of course. And that is generally the way it works. Because you generally have, if somebody makes more, they tend to automatically be better with that money because they're bringing in the lion's share of it. Or in this case, the lioness's share of it. And so, or you're just the nerd and just like to look at numbers anyway. That could be it as well. But yeah, so significantly more than him. I feel like he spends without consideration. Yes, he is. And when you do it, you're doing that too. Not as much as him, but you are still doing it wrong. We can technically afford it, as we do very well. He makes about $65K. I make roughly $300 to $400. Okay, so you're lapping him basically. So it's not like we can't pay our bills over it. I feel that's not the purpose of a budget. Purpose of a budget is you control your spending. You're intentional with every single one of your hard-earned dollars. Let's see. I feel like, for me, the core issue is he impulsively spends without consideration to our future. And you're doing the same thing, even if it's by a couple bucks a month, and not every month. You are still doing it too. So the first thing to do, how about you get your ship in order and you stop going over? And then after you stop going over a couple months, then it's time to say, yeah, I used to go over, but now I'm stopping that, and we need to talk about you doing that as well. The reality is I don't trust him when it comes to money habits. I'm at the point of wanting separate bank accounts. I feel like, for me, there are no consequences because I make enough to cover whatever he spends. Yeah, it doesn't seem like that's the case. And we don't know, I mean, this is a problem all by itself, and we don't know what baby step they're in. Like, if they have step 2 debt, there's no way they should be having $1,000 fund money a month. There's no way. So it just depends on I mean, it could be worse, but this all by itself, not being able to stick to a budget, either of them, and she just does a little bit, and so you don't get credit for it only being a little bit. You're still screwing up too. But yeah, you're floating his lifestyle creep, basically. Any ideas, boundaries, etc. would be helpful. That you say, I thought we said we were going to do this, and I haven't been either. I've been going over a little, but I'm going to stop too. So what can we do about this? He's just not consistent. I can't make him, but I can limit what he has access to. Okay, speaking of treating him like a little kid, at that point, I don't think that's a marriage. If you have to limit the accounts that he can get into. So that's, I mean, that can be a short-term answer for sure. But I would imagine that might bring up some, he might be feeling a way about that, as the kids say. Or they used to anyway. And it may have come back around. I don't know. I think I have heard that recently. Feeling a way about it. Edited to add is ETA in this case. Since it seems to matter, we have $50K in car loans. Yeah, see, you're doing it wrong too. Your budget is wrong because that's too much fun money. Too much fun money. And so an $85K in a personal loan that was used to buy ownership into a company. That was bull crap. Dumb bull crap as well. Plus roughly $50K in savings since I am in a sales role and my income is not guaranteed. Yeah, tough crap. So you don't have the extra savings, so you would pay off that $50K immediately with those savings. And if you have other savings, then you would do that as well. And so I understand why this got locked, because they're doing it wrong, doing everything completely wrong. So the first thing is that she's not doing it right, and then he's doing it even more wrong. So fun times. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna fix the situation of you limiting what he has access to like he's a little kid. I think that would bring up more problems. And you don't want to do that. You just, if it's that you guys just can't be married anymore, or I mean, if you gotta separate accounts, if you feel like you gotta do that, do that. But there's a thing called counseling. So you said you had many conversations about this, and when people say we've had many conversations about this, if it's you saying this is what I want, and he just says okay, and then goes ahead and doesn't do what you want, what he agreed to theoretically, he was just saying okay to make the conversation be over and to do the thing that he wanted to do. So fun times. I'm being sarcastic. It's not. So that you guys need to get your butts into counseling as well. But yeah, so you're doing it wrong because the debt should be liquidated immediately. And understand your income's not guaranteed. You're in a sales role. You will be fine probably, even if you make a little bit less than 300. If you make 200,000 a month, hopefully you're not in too much house. Which, if you are, that's again you're doing it wrong. And that your entire financial picture needs to be looked at this point, because you don't trust him. I don't trust you at this point. So I don't trust either of you as far as I could throw you. Which probably isn't as far since I fractured my humerus. Feeling some type of way. Trey says she's already considering the voice. Does Papa Dave read Reddit? I wonder. I would think for Mr. Ramsey, I feel like for me, he would have maybe looked at it, especially the Dave Ramsey subreddit, which is not run by Ramsey Solutions, it's run by fans. I feel like maybe he would have glanced at it one time and then thought, well, most of these people are idiots. These are just trolls or something like that. I would hope that he would have better things to do. I don't, of course. It's fun content for me. So I don't have better things to do. But I would hope Mr. Ramsey has better things to do. Boop, boop, boop. Trey says, not complicated. People just tend to let their feelings get between the numbers and logic. Seeking advice, pay off home at 2.75% rate, okay? And the interest rate never, ever, 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 ever changes the Ramsey advice. That has nothing to do with it, ever. So, do you pay off the phone if you have that much cash in a freaking savings account? Yes, you do. Selling second home in the coming year or two. And again, we do not have two mortgages. That's dumb as crap. And if this is the only mortgage you have, congratulations on paying off your residence, but then you do not get a mortgage on a second home. A second home is a toy, and that is a cash only purchase. So you're doing it wrong. Equity would pay off my primary home, so they do have two mortgages. You're doing it wrong. 500K in equity after closing costs and likely capital gains taxes. Government do take a bite. On main home, 400K. Home worth $1.2 million. I'm retired, only keeping other home to provide housing for in-laws. So if you're retired, so I guess they're old and you think in a year or two they'll be dead and then you can sell it? What's going on? I know many say just put the 400K from the other home in high yield savings account and do better than right. Many people are dumbasses though, and they also go on they just go on calculator numbers, and the calculator does not have a risk button that you can add into the equation there. And so yeah, so that's the 275. And yes, high yield savings account would make that, but you don't stretch out that money. That's not the Ramsey way. The Ramsey way is to pay off your freaking debt, even the house. And so you don't debt leverage. Mr. Ramsey's the no debt guy. He's also the no debt leverage guy. And you keeping that mortgage around to have a high yield savings account to make more money on the interest is debt leveraging the house. So that's a NAR from Mr. Ramsey. And I suspect high yield savings will be coming down. Who knows? I can see benefits either way. Welcome thoughts. Well, you can do it that way. That's your financial bro way. Did I just name call? What did I say? What did I say? Oh, dumb butts. Haha. Okay, I got you. All right. I got you. You're fronting. I get it. Okay. I see benefits either way. Welcome thoughts. Yeah, you can do it your own way. if you want to, and you don't have to ask anybody about it. If you want to follow the where you are is reddit.com/r/Dave Ramsey, and that's the Dave Ramsey subreddit. And I know some people think it's a subreddit to debate whether the Ramsey way is the right way, but it's actually run by Dave Ramsey fans. And so, I mean, and I'm sure people do come in here for just general advice, not necessarily the Ramsey way. And this person does not put a baby step on here or anything like that. But again, I do go by the Ramsey way and give the Ramsey advice. And the Ramsey advice would be not to do the dumb crap you're doing by having two mortgages. So you would not do that. Again, this is in, the coming year or two. How do you know they'll be out of it? Why are the in-laws going to suddenly have their own housing? So I would have questions about that. But just in general, it's you should not have gotten a second mortgage to begin with. And you should sell that right away. And you just can't provide the housing for in-laws. You don't have to provide them housing. That's not a law that you have to do that. Especially when you have to go into debt to do it. You do not have to do that. My Big D. Alrighty. Millionaire Show's done. What happened to Millionaire Shows? I haven't listened to the show in a while, but I enjoyed the Millionaire Shows. I looked through the episodes in the Apple Podcast app, but can't find any. Yeah, I don't know necessarily that they label them like that. And I know it used to be for a long time the Millionaire Hours were the last hour of the show, which no longer is on YouTube. But if you're just doing the podcasts, you should be getting those. Now, they don't, I think they had one when Dave wasn't there. But generally, they do those when Dave is there, so that cuts out the amount of Millionaire Shows that can happen. Just depending on like when he's there. And so I don't know. I haven't seen one in a while, but of course, I don't see the third hour ever. So they could have had some recently. Baby's ears are too delicate for such language. I apologize to Baby Sid. And Mrs. Sid and Mr. Sid. And just everybody, the planet in general. My bad. Nick Coco 94, advice for overemployed. Okay. For the last 2 weeks, I've started working a second full-time job, both remote. At the moment, this feels like it's sustainable. However, I don't want to make dramatic financial decisions that rely on this income. That is wise as crap. My husband and I want to continue to work the program. Well, why don't you do that then? How about you do that? I don't have a problem with any of this so far. At this rate, and without lifestyle changes, we have paid off our auto loan in 3 months. Great. And build a full emergency savings 3 months after. Great. And then, once you're on step 4, that would be a good time to quit the other job. If you want. If you don't, unless you want the money. Sometimes people like money. I'm not sure what we could use this income for after that. On a little thing called, you've addressed up to baby step 3, the full emergency fund. There's a little thing after that called baby steps 4, 5, and 6 that you do all together. So let's see if any of those apply. The retirement savings should apply, not reply. That should apply, but maybe there's no kids and maybe there's no mortgage. Let's see. 30 without kids. Okay, there it goes. Having nearly $400,000 in annual income at this age is beyond what we ever hoped for, but I don't know when it may become too much to manage both jobs. To adjust ratios for retirement savings? No, you would just work that until you don't want to work that anymore. And you would follow the Ramsey advice while we have the cash. Should I throw the full 115,000 salary at paying off our home early? Yes, but you also do the 15,000. I mean the 15%. So you do the 15% of gross income into retirement, and then any extra that's left over after that, you skip baby step 5 since there are no children, and then you would put all that money on baby step 6, which is pay off the house early. That is the Ramsey advice. And if you looked at the baby steps, you would have seen that would be the case. So maybe you didn't look at it, or getting verification or something. Even if we want to sell in 2 years, yes, because you saying you want to sell in 2 years doesn't mean crap. Yeah, I said crap again. Yeah, you saying that right now doesn't mean that that's going to happen. So how about we just put the money into the house, and we will act like we don't want to sell it in 2 years, just in case something weird happens, like we end up staying here forever, ever, and then we'll have a paid off house. But it's fine if you sell it, because then guess what happens? You get all of that money back when you sell it. So yeah, that would be it. Still do the 15%. But didn't say how. Oh, 30. They're 30 years old. So you still got 30 years in the market. That's great. But you should be doing 15% of gross income into retirement. And then anything extra that gets thrown to the mortgage to pay it off early. And you would also, if you have savings more than $1,000 right now, you would be putting that to the auto loan and pay it off today instead of in 3 months. And then you can start on the full emergency fund early. People are nutty where they can't figure out the baby steps and apply it to themselves. Oh, what time is it? Oh, let's see. So we'll do this one tomorrow. What is there? We will be doing a show tomorrow, won't we? Yes, because it is Thursday today, so it's Friday. Got to get down on Friday tomorrow. How do you know when to sell a property? Well, if it's a second home, that's right away, because you shouldn't have a mortgage on 2 properties. You don't have a mortgage on a second home either, or a vacation home. Second homes, vacation homes, all that crap is toys, and our toys, and that has to be a complete cash purchase. So you're doing it wrong. So we'll look at that, the exact situation. I saw something about the Pandy in there. And the Dave Show format, the format is going to be what Mr. Ramsey and staff decide it's going to be, is the general thing. The ones I've been able to find aren't Dave, it's his employees. Look harder then. He's still on the show. Not every day, but he's still on the show. So look just a little bit harder. This person probably is putting in as much effort into looking for a Ramsey show with Dave on it as he is into looking for managed funds that beat the index, meaning he's not trying at all. Inherited home, all right, and that can be great sometimes. That also can lead to way more expenditures, and so we will again look at these tomorrow. We'll talk about this tomorrow. It's only a day away. Alrighty, once more, I am Coach Steve Money. I'm a Ramsey Solutions certified financial coach. And if you, yes, you are having money problems, or you just want me to say dumb butt to you or something like that, or say you're doing it wrong, I'll do that for you. You can schedule that appointment with me at calendly.com/coachstevemoney. That is in the ticker below. It's fun ticker. And it's also in the video description, as well as the email address is coachstevemoney@gmail.com. And you can use that for financial coaching questions, just general finance stuff. Anything on my YouTube channel, anything that's on your mind is fine. Worst case, I won't reply to it. PayPal.me/CoachSteveMoney for donations. Also, $ CoachSteveMoney on CashApp. And what's the other thing? Oh, coachstevemoney@gmail.com for Walmart gift card if you choose that. Also, super chats on live streams and on pre-recorded videos is called Super Thanks. Oh, what else? And then, of course, the upcoming streams is just so far this show, the Ramsey Show, Aftershow, and that's 10:27 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, right after the Ramsey Show ends. That airs or is on YouTube, 9 a.m. to, again, 10:27 a.m. And then I start right after when that is done. Alrighty. Thanks everybody for watching and chatting. Much appreciated. Thanks to everybody. Oh, I did hit the 2,000 mark on the subscribers. So congratulations to me, and thanks to every single one of you that have subscribed. Much appreciated. Alrighty. As always, make smart financial decisions every day.